Alright, I still don't really know how or why it got there, but somehow I had a dismantle crate right here. The only problem being, if I actually went there on the map, it was nowhere to be found. Not to mention the fact that I've never even built anything here on the map, so like how could I have dropped a crate here? Now I don't mean to brag, because I've always been an incredibly humble person, but I knew exactly what this meant immediately. So the world origin, 000. As far as the game concerned, or any game is concerned, this is the center of the universe. Absolutely everything revolves around this center point. And if you were to ever, have a dismantle crate that didn't know exactly where it was meant to be placed, it'd probably end up going to 000, right? That's not the fun part though. After picking up all the crates, I was left with these little ghostly flashing items that I couldn't pick up or interact with or do anything with. And to make it even more confusing, sometimes they would just disappear completely for a while and then come back as a completely different set of items. And again, humble genius, don't mean to brag, I knew exactly what was going on here. So basically when you're making a game, there are two main ways to handle groups of items like what get displayed on the belts. The first way is definitely the most intuitive way, where you would just create an item at one end and then destroy an item at the other end, constantly adding and removing items from the game's memory. This is called instancing, and it works great for small groups. The only problem is at large scale, it becomes just way too much on the computer, way too many memory interactions. To get around this, we use object pooling, where you basically create a bunch of items all at once and store them sort of off and out of the road until you need them. Then every time you create an item, you're just grabbing an item from the pool, and then if you don't need it anymore, you just add it back into the pool, constantly cycling the same ones. This way you only use the same chunk of memory and the same set of items over and over again without the computer having to do any extra work to sort of figure it out and add and remove and add and remove. That's what we're seeing here. This is the object pool. Look, if I go over and put a bunch of this into the sink here, then that's what appears on the little table behind me. And then if I look up at the rubber factory, I get a bunch of fuel, and I get a bunch of rubber, and I get a bunch of plastic. I get the same things that would be expected to be shown on screen. And that's also why they disappear sometimes, because sometimes nothing needs to be shown on screen. I don't know, I just find this so cool. It's object pooling, that's all it is. We just found the pool. Anyway, you learned something about game dev, I guess. See ya.